service, so we are going to be postponing the 8 o'clock service, or canceling the 8 o'clock service in 2 weeks. So you'll need to come here at the 10 o'clock service for worship. So we want to let you know that. Not next week, in 2 weeks. Okay? And we want you to come there. And Children Life will also be taking up a special offering at that time. And also, if anyone wants to go see Son of God, the youth group will be going at 4:20 today. So if anybody wants to come and sit with us, you're more than welcome there. Thanksgiving. I will enter his gates with thanksgiving in my heart. Anybody know what happened on 100 years ago, this August 24th? 100 years ago, this August 24th coming up. I'm sure as it gets closer, you're going to hear about it. Anybody know? Let's watch.
30 p.m., the men move on to another key government target, the White House. In the dining room, they find the table set. Coburn orders wine poured, and in a sarcastic toast to the president, drinks to Jemmy's health. Soldiers rampage through the rooms, grabbing souvenirs, including a ceremonial sword and a pair of rhinestone buckles. Even Major General Ross pockets President Madison's love letters to Dolly. Outside the mansion, the Redcoats pitch their torches through the windows, engulfing the White House in flames. The next morning, August 25th, the British set the Library of Congress and the Navy Yard afire as storm clouds threatened overhead. But at 2 o'clock that afternoon, two events would transform a burning Washington into a scene beyond comprehension. With little warning, one of the most powerful hurricanes in its history hits Washington. Lightning splits clouds open as gale-force winds tear through the city.
And of nowhere comes this uncanny storm, which not only dumps a tremendous torrential downpour, but it rages against this British colony.
One redcoat recalls the fury of this perfect storm.
Our colony was completely dispersed, as if it had received a total defeat. Some of the men flying for shelter behind walls and buildings, and others falling flat upon the ground to prevent themselves from being carried away. Such was the violence of the wind that two pieces of cannon were fairly lifted from the ground and borne several yards away.
What has started out as a blessing is about to become a catastrophic event of epic proportions. As the hurricane wreaks destruction throughout the burning city, a tornado suddenly appears from the sky and shears through the center of the capital. For 2 hours, the immense storm rages through Washington, dousing most of the flames that have turned the capital into an inferno.
We now know a tornado actually touches down like the wrathful hand of God from the Old Testament and inflicts more casualties in the middle of that British colony than they even suffered in Bladensburg.
When the storm clears out the next day, so do the British. The invasion force returns to Benedict, Maryland, a battered and bewildered unit.
Correction, 200 years ago. Did you know that? First time I heard it this week. I was looking up something like prayers of Thanksgiving in the history of the United States on the internet, and this came up. And I never heard this before. Now, had this been the Israelites, it would have been put in the Bible as what? God saving the Israelites. But here you have this. The British, of course, came to the United States, and they burnt down the White House, and then you had this, by chance, a hurricane came to play. I would love to do maybe write a book someday on the history of weather and how weather has changed things, and even the history of hurricanes and how they have changed things as well. But here you have this situation where the British are coming into Washington. President James Madison had to leave, Valley Madison left, and they burnt down the White House at that time. Now, if there's no coincidences with God, right? And the Bible says that God's in charge of everything, even controls the weather, can you not say that God was involved with that? Of course you would. And many times we as Christians, or even as people who live in these great United States, we tend to forget just how blessed of a nation we actually are. I attribute to like having a crack in a wall. We get so used to seeing that crack in the wall that we don't see it anymore. And when you truly understand how blessed of a nation we really are, and compared to the rest of the world, we come to the point where we start giving thanks for the goodness and the greatness of who God is and what He has done for this nation. This is the median income, by the way, and we are the richest nation in the world. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what Occupy Wall Street says. We are the richest nation in the world. You can see how we are in comparison to other nations such as Brazil, China, and India. In fact, oh boy, I knew this wouldn't be a good one. Here you see the median income as it comes to how the richest to the poorest. We are the 210% of richer than the median income in the world. In fact, if you look at this graph right here, you will see this. The blue dot is the median income of the top 10, the bottom 10% of the wealth in the United States compared to the top 10% of the wealth in the United States. Notice if you look at that, we are, even our poorest people are richer than the richest people in, I can't see it, Italy or Israel or Russia or Portugal, Brazil, Turkey, and Mexico. I did a little fun little thing, and I sent it out on Facebook. I don't know if you saw it or not, but if you put your income into a world wealth calculator, and I put my income in, what the church pays me, and it came up that I was the top 0.18% of the world's income. And my wife, I put hers in just to be fun, knowing that she works very, very, very part-time, and she's the top 18% of the world's income. 1 billion people live on $1 a day in the world. We get so used to seeing the crack in the wall that we don't realize just how blessed we actually are. It says here that the bottom 10% of the United States income is, the median income in the world is $2,138 per year. That's the median income. Anybody here besides our college kids make that much? What I mean is that's what your income is? We are so blessed in this nation. Even other areas such as healthcare, there's been a lot of talk about that. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but we have one of the best healthcares in the world. Infant mortality rates in the United States are very low. If you lived in Afghanistan, out of every 1,000 live births in Afghanistan, 119 would die. So if we would probably say that one, maybe two people in this group right now would not be here today because you would not have passed the age of 1. In Mali, it's 106 will die. In the United States, 5.9 will die out of every 1,000 births. The best country in the world is Monaco. If you were born there, the chance of you dying out of every 1,000 births is 1.8. Well, let's look at cars. Now, that's not Los Angeles freeway. That's actually China right here. But if you lived in the United States, there are 802 cars for every 1,000 people. United States, we also have what's called religious freedom, where we have the ability to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. Yes, there are issues that are happening in the world, in the United States today. It's happening. It's been happening since day one. But I can still share my faith with other people.